Hello, my name is Andy Thomas. I work at the University of Missouri Southwest Research Center at Mount Vernon, where I have been for 25 years and working on elderberries about 24 years. Terry has asked me to give an overview of a very significant grant and project that we just got. The title is Moving American Elderberry into Mainstream Production and Processing. I headed this thing up, but there's lots and lots of partners, and last count were about 33 of them. So it is a huge project. As I mentioned, this is a massive grant. We're very proud to have received this, $5.345 million. It's just starting here in the fall of 2021 and will go for 4 years until the fall of 2025. This is a USDA grant from their division NIFA, National Institute of Food and Agriculture, and within that is the Specialty Crop Research Initiative program. That's where this funding is from. This project has many components, and I'm going to try to give an overview of some of them here relatively briefly. So of course horticulture. I work in horticulture here. We need to study the insects, and I put on here the good insects, the bad insects, and pollinators with the goal of integrated pest management recommendations for elderberry productions. As everyone knows, weeds are a challenge in elderberries, so we are going to do some weed trials. And then we're going to be evaluating what I call a south to north germplasm trial. And to try to explain this, for example, we will be having wild elderberry selections from Oklahoma and then all the way up to Minnesota and Wisconsin. So I get questions a lot about the range, the latitudinal range of elderberries. For example, if I have an elderberry that is from Oklahoma, will it grow in Missouri? Will it grow in Minnesota? Vice versa. And the answer is we don't know. So this is what we intend to do to try to find this out. So I'm going to explain later, but we have 5 sites: Poto, Oklahoma, here at Mount Vernon, Missouri, New Franklin, Missouri, Champaign, Illinois, and Spring Green, Wisconsin. So those are kind of our south to north locations, and those sites will also be multi-purpose for other activities as well. So we will also be doing leaf tissue analysis and hoping to develop recommendations for growing elderberries based on leaf analysis. And then all of this together will include cultivar trials, hopefully new cultivars released. So on the breeding side, we are going to look at pollination biology. We know kind of how elderberries are pollinated, but it's fairly complex. We need to kind of get a much better understanding of this. So a whole project on understanding the pollination better. We intend to sequence the genome of elderberry. This can now be done relatively cheaply for a few $1,000s, and it's kind of sets the stage for future breeding and genetic work. And then new cultivar development from this breeding program. We will be evaluating thousands, hopefully, of breeding progeny for the next new generation of improved elderberries. We will also be looking at mechanical harvest. I'm quite confident that we can learn how to mechanically harvest elderberries. We just need the funds, which this grant provides, to have engineers look at this, so we will be looking at existing technologies, and hopefully even by next summer of 2022 have a prototype harvester that we can begin testing. Of course, then it will go back to the drawing board. What did it do well? What did it not do well? And improve it over the 4 years of this project. So hopefully within a couple, 3 years, we will really be scaling this up. Yield monitoring will also be a part of that. Economics is a very important part of this grant. I'm not an economist, but I understand how important it is to understand the system from putting a plant in the ground to a bottle at the store being sold and that being consumed. The production system economics, so how much does it cost to grow elderberries, how much money can be made. Production support tools and budgets, so to help people manage their elderberry farm enterprise. Marketing strategies, what works, what doesn't work. For example, locally grown versus organic versus other strategies. And then consumer research, what kinds of people are buying elderberries and consuming them. Some other very important components of this project include food science. We have some great partners working on this. Looking at new product development, developing dietary supplement products, more and better dietary supplement products, and optimizing the processing of these. For example, making a spray-dried juice, which such product could then be used in granola bars and smoothies and all kinds of products, and then the resulting pumice that is left over after the juice is pressed. So there are some groups already working on these, but we really hope this research in food science will bring this to a new level. And related to that is brain health. We're going to be looking at elderly mice, looking at the aged brain and the aging brain. Some of our colleagues in the University of Missouri Medical School have a hypothesis that elderberry, in combination with an omega-3 fatty acid called DHA as a supplement, can have very beneficial aspects to each other and great for the brain. So this is a very, very interesting mouse-based research that will start the second year. Very exciting, and this kind of research has been really demanded by the grower, the elderberry grower. So we're really excited this is part of this project. Another very important part of this project is the analytical component, which includes what we call metabolomics, understanding the metabolite production of elderberry in this case, looking at what we call the bioactive or health benefiting compounds. We will also be looking, for example, for the diversity among cultivars. Say, for example, one elderberry cultivar is higher in some antioxidant compared to another. We really want to understand that and dig deep into that, including biochemistry, a lot of statistical analysis of the research underway. Very, very important. The outreach, very important part of the project, will include a number of field days and conferences. We anticipate at least one field day at each of the 5 sites that I described earlier, and then they can be at other sites like private farms. They could also be combined with conferences such as the Great Plains Growers Conference or other conferences around the country. We will be upgrading and developing elderberry grower guides for not only Missouri, but for the upper Midwest, the Northeast. An online training curriculum is going to be developed kind of from planting cuttings in the ground to harvesting. There will be modules on insects and weeds and economics, so this can be archived permanently on the website which we will have for this project and can be used for training purposes. So we're excited about that. And then the grand finale in 4 years will be an international symposium, probably in June of 2025. Hopefully it'll be a little bit like the one that we held in 2013. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of work to do to pull that off. I believe I mentioned this earlier, but here is a list of the prime locations where we will be doing elderberry research, kind of again in a south to north gradient. Poto, Oklahoma, Mount Vernon, Missouri, New Franklin, Missouri. We will have a planting at Jefferson City, Missouri at Lincoln University's Carver Farm as well, Champaign, Illinois, and Spring Green, Wisconsin. Here is a list of the University of Missouri partners, and I probably have left one out. I hope not. When I look at this list, I'm pretty well blown away. the resources Mizzou offers is just amazing to be able to put this together. So University Extension, of course, Plant Science and Technology, which I'm a part of, Chemistry, including the Proteomics Center within the Department of Chemistry, the Center for Metabolomics I mentioned earlier, the Center for Agroforestry, which is part of the School of Natural Resources, the Medical School at Mizzou, which is called Health Sciences, the Agriculture Experiment Stations, which includes here where I am at Southwest Research Center, as well as the Horticulture and Agroforestry Research Center at New Franklin in central Missouri. The Food Science group is called Division of Food and Nutritional Sciences. I skipped one here, the Department of Biomedical, Biological, and Chemical Engineering. Those faculty are involved in this. The Center for Translational Neuroscience is the medical school group who's going to be working on with the mice. And the Division of Applied Social Sciences is involved in the economics and marketing aspect. And here are the other partners. Some of these I have mentioned earlier on this grant. The Kerr Center for Sustainable Agriculture in Poto, Oklahoma, will be hosting one of our planting sites. Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri, will have a small planting for entomology purposes. University of Minnesota are heavily involved in the economics aspect of this project. The Savannah Institute, based in Madison, Wisconsin, will be organizing two of the growing sites, one in Champaign, Illinois, and the other one in southwest Wisconsin. They will also be heavily involved in the outreach component. North Carolina State University, we have tremendous partners there in food science. So great resources there and great partners. And even Penn State University, one of our colleagues has a partnership there on the mechanical harvest of elderberry. So that's a very brief summary of this great project. I'm sure that's probably raised more questions than answers. Stay tuned. We will certainly be unrolling this in the next several months. And thanks for listening.